The ballroom went silent the moment the Duke turned away from the glittering beauty everyone expected him to choose. Candles flickered, silk gowns stilled mid-sway, and a single sentence shattered a lifetime of cruelty. "I will marry the sister you taught the world to ignore." Gasps cut the air like glass. Somewhere behind the music, a rejected daughter felt the ground finally shift beneath the feet of those who had stood on her for years. All her life, Ilara had been a mistake no one tried to hide. Her younger sister, Lisette, was the family's masterpiece. Golden hair, flawless smiles, praise in every room before she even spoke. Their father, Lord Heron, polished Lisette like a jewel and used Ilara like furniture. Ilara learned early how to disappear, how to stand near walls, how to keep her eyes lowered, how to swallow words that burned to be heard. When suitors came, she poured the wine while Lisette laughed. When compliments arrived, they passed through Ilara like wind through a broken window. The Duke of Ashford's arrival changed everything. He was wealth, power, and rescue wrapped in a title that could rewrite bloodlines. Lord Heron made his intentions clear with a smile sharpened by years of ambition. "Take the pretty one," he told the Duke, loud enough for the servants to hear. "She will bring you admiration." Ilara stood 3 steps behind, invisible as ever, her hands trembling around a tray. But the Duke watched. He noticed how Lisette's laughter echoed their father's hunger, how her compliments sounded rehearsed. He noticed how Ilara listened. When she spoke, quietly, carefully, she spoke a mind that saw consequences and a heart that understood cost. Over weeks of dinners and dances, he asked questions no one had ever asked Ilara before. He listened when she answered, and when the night of the announcement came, he made his choice. Lord Heron's smile cracked. Lisette's face froze in disbelief. Ilara felt the room tilt. She expected the Duke's hand to feel heavy with obligation, but it was steady, warm, respectful. "I choose Ilara," he said again calmly, as if daring the world to argue. The world did. The days that followed were brutal. Whispers turned to accusations. Lord Heron cornered Ilara in cold corridors, reminding her of everything she owed him, everything he could still take. Lisette cried loudly, beautifully, painting herself the victim. The city fed on the story. The Duke deceived, the pretty sister robbed, the plain one grasping. Ilara endured it all in silence, until silence became a weapon, because Ilara had learned something growing up unseen. When no one looks at you, you see everything. She had seen the ledgers. She had noticed the sealed letters exchanged late at night. She knew which debts her father hid, and which promises he broke. She had watched Lisette charm merchants while slipping payments into shadows. None of it had mattered before. Now it mattered very much. Ilara didn't expose them in a blaze. She waited. She learned the rhythms of power at the Duke's side, the way truth traveled faster when whispered to the right ears. She let her father underestimate her one last time. When Lord Heron tried to sabotage the engagement, spreading lies, bribing officials, pressing the Duke with threats, Ilara moved. The first blow landed quietly. A creditor arrived at Lord Heron's estate with documents stamped and undeniable. Then another, then a third. Lisette's favorite merchants suddenly refused her credit. Invitations stopped arriving. The family's allies vanished like fog at sunrise. Lord Heron stormed into the Duke's court demanding justice, only to be met with calm faces and sealed evidence, his own signatures betraying him. Lisette confronted Ilara in the garden at dusk, fury shaking her perfect composure. "You planned this," she hissed. Ilara didn't raise her voice. "No," she said. "I survived it." The difference landed harder than any insult. When the final hearing came, Lord Heron stood stripped of titles he had worn like armor. The city watched the fall it had once applauded. Lisette wept for the crowd, but the crowd had moved on. Ilara watched too, not with joy, but with a steady sense of closure. Revenge, she learned, didn't have to be loud. It only had to be complete. On her wedding day, Ilara wore no jewels borrowed from her father's vault. She wore confidence earned in silence. As bells rang, she caught Lisette's eye at the edge of the crowd, still beautiful, still empty-handed. The Duke took Ilara's hand, not as a savior, but as a partner. He didn't rescue her from her past. He respected the strength it forged. Years later, When children learned the story, they told it wrong. They said the Duke chose kindness over beauty, love over vanity. Elara smiled when she heard it. The truth was sharper and sweeter. Power chose the one who had been overlooked, and the overlooked used it not to become cruel, but to end cruelty forever. And somewhere in the city, parents began praising quiet daughters too, wondering too late which ones had been watching all along.